Hello everyone and welcome to another Versus Video Deck Tech. I am BBD, joined once again.
CVM.
And we are going to be battling with some modern decks?
Some sweet modern decks.
Yeah, these are not your typical run-of-the-mill modern decks. We're going to be battling with a couple of ones on the wild side. So let's go ahead and jump in and see what enchanting goodness we have here.
You better hurry up.
Ooh,
We're short on time.
I don't know. There's no pun in the word the. This is lame. All right, so this is a Zur the Enchanter deck that actually top 8'd the last Modern Premier IQ.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
a 9-round, 270-person Modern Premier IQ.
Yeah, this is actually a big tournament. This wasn't a walk in the park.
Yeah.
And I actually have a confession to make. I have played this deck in a Modern tournament before. So I'm no stranger to both Zur and Love. But yeah, I've definitely searched up Thassa's Zur before, so this won't be a first for me. But
so what does this deck actually do? Because it looks just like an Esper control deck with weird cards in it.
Yeah, so basically the way Zur works is whenever he attacks, you can search for an enchantment that's 3 or less and put it into play. So for us, that means a lot of times you're going to attack with Zur and search up a Steel of the Godhead to put on the Zur, which is going to make him a 3/6 lifelink unblockable creature. And that is like a good first step to kind of buy you some time and like push you ahead.
Especially since Zur has the most important stats that are in Modern. 4 toughness, costs more than 3 mana. So it dodges both Bolt and Abrupt Decay.
Absolutely. And you can also put Steel of the Godhead on Geist of St. Traft as well.
That's pretty good too.
Which is pretty nifty. We can also search up Thassa, God of the Sea for grindier matchups, or matchups where we need to push our Geist through. And Spreading Seas as well is a good way to cripple people's mana base, where every single turn you're going to get a free Spreading Seas out of the mix.
Like Jund.
And then lastly, we have Detention Sphere as a removal spell to search up with Zur. So there's going to be a lot of games where we play Zur, they attack us down to like 4 or whatever, and then we need to like untap and attack, Detention Sphere their guy, path another guy, and stabilize. So that is where Detention Sphere is going to come into play with Zur. Past that point, though, it does look like basically an Esper control deck. We have a lot of removal discard spells, some removal spells, random counter spells, and some other just random creatures like a Vendilion Click of Tazagur, a couple Lingering Souls, and some Geists. And really, it just functions like that, except you have this like engine once you get Zur online, where you can start searching up these things to pull ahead of the game.
It's pretty sweet. It's also important to note that the enchantments that Zur gets are mana cost 3 or less, so it's not like they're Eldrazi conscriptions that are just stuck in your hand when you draw them. You can actually just cast Spreading Seas. It draws you a card. You can actually just cast Steel the Godhead on one of your creatures. You can, cast Detention Sphere. They're all just good cards that do things that you don't have to rely on Zur to find them.
Yeah, I mean, you can cast Thassa.
Yeah, you can cast Thassa.
Yeah.
Do it.
Won't say it's the greatest thing you can do in Modern, but you can do it.
Can't be spell pierced.
Can't be spell pierced. Can't be spell snared. Can be mana leaked. Yeah, so basically like what he said there. And another thing to note too is it doesn't matter because of the hexproof on Geist, but the way the way Zur works is if you put an aura into play, you can just attach it to a creature. You don't actually have to target anything or whatever. So we could be searching up pacifisms and things like that too.
Yeah, it gets around Shroud and Hexproof effects, but doesn't get around protection. So if a creature has, protection from white, it can't have Steel the Godhead put on it through Zur. But if it has Hex or Shroud, it still can be put on it because it doesn't target.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, if you attack with Zur and you go to put something like Steel the Godhead into play, and they kill your Zur, you actually can't put the Steel into play. So like it just doesn't go into play at all if there's no legal targets for it, is the way it works.
Yep.
It just doesn't happen that often, but it is something to keep in mind. Other than that, the mana base is like reasonably straightforward. Some basics, some fetches, some creeping tar pits, one of which is foil. Hopefully that's the one that...
Just so BBD can cheat me.
Hopefully that's the one that kills CVM a couple times. But yeah, other than that, it is an interesting Esper deck that runs this weird Zur package. And let's go ahead and look at the sideboard and see what we have there. All right, so if we look at the sideboard here, we see that there are actually a lot of cheap enchantments as well because of Zur. So we can get like our one of Rest in Peace against decks that are using the graveyard, our Illness in the Ranks against creature token decks, or Splinter Twin to shut off the twin combo, Threads of Disloyalty for like, Dark Confidants and Oozes and Goyfs and things like that.
Lots of non-hooting Mandrills creatures.
Yeah, non-hooting Mandrills creatures. We have another Steal of the Godhead, and then we also have 2 Stony Silences, which are great against Affinity, Tron, and some other decks. Generally speaking, if you're attacking with Zur, you've probably survived long enough where Stony Silence isn't necessary anymore. Usually you're either dead by then, or you're probably ahead and don't need the Stony Silence. But
that's why there's 2.
Yeah, that's why there's 2, so you can actually draw the card. And then past that point, we have a bunch of random cards. We have Flash Freeze, a Dispel, Supreme Verdict, and a Damnation, a Kitchen Finks, a couple Dismembers, and some Timely Reinforcements just to shore up a variety of matchups. Just all around various good cards for different matchups, and a number of cheap enchantments to Zur it up. But yep, that is basically the sideboard for this Zur deck. Hopefully we get to do some sweet things against CVM, who is also going to be doing some sweet things. What are you doing?
Well, we had a lot of requests for modern decks in our last video because we asked for them. But unfortunately, there was no way we could pass up these 2 decks for this week. So this Zur deck top-8'd the Premier IQ this weekend, and the Premier IQ was won by a Teamer Delver deck sporting 4 Hooting Mandrills, 2 Curiosity, and a full set of Disrupting Shoal. So that's what I'm going to be playing. Just good old Teamer Delver with Hoots Magoots.
Yep.
We're not monkeying around here. We're gonna ape it up.
Aping it up. Disrupting Shoal. Some real crazy ones in that deck as well. So it should be a wild video. Hopefully you guys stick around and watch that.